Hi, a huge welcome to Steve's Kitchen. Today and throughout this series, we are going to be taking back the yogurt or yogurt. Not that it was ever theirs to take in the first place. I was listening to a series recently and they were talking about the fact that yogurt or yogurt in the supermarkets now was as unhealthy as ice cream, or basically was just a melted ice cream. Unlike in the 70s when it was a lovely, fresh product and a healthy product, now it's full of carbohydrates and sweeteners and artificial flavorings. So we are going to put that right now. I'm going to teach you a little bit on how to make yogurt. And do you remember when I was younger, they used to make plain yogurt and they put fruit at the bottom, and it was a delight to get through that sort of acid yogurt and then get down to that fruit. We're going to be recreating that and a lot of other great yogurt or yogurt dishes. So come on, let's get going. Now, making yogurt or yogurt is so simple. I've got a pint here of full cream milk. Just pop that into a saucepan. Now, the milks from the supermarkets are often not creamy enough, and if you like a thicker yogurt, I would take about 1/3 of a cup of powdered milk as well. Now, you could use all powdered milk actually if you follow the instructions for making up milk. So 1/3 of a cup in there. Take this over to the stove. And what we're going to do on a medium to high heat, we're just going to bring this up and scald the milk. That means we just want it to start to boil on the edge, and then we're going to take it off the heat. Now, by scalding the milk, two things happen. Basically, you're going to be killing any bacteria that might fight the yogurt bacteria when we're making the yogurt, and also it changes the flavor just a little bit. Now, a lot of people talk about using thermometers for making yogurt, but really it isn't necessary. You see on the edge here now, it's just starting to bubble, and that means that it's almost at the boil. So I'm going to turn that off the heat now, give it a little stir around. We want to put this somewhere where it can start to cool down. Now, whilst my milk is cooling down, I've popped it in a little jug here. I'll explain to you what else you will need. Now, I've got this big wide mouth thermos flask. It's fantastic for making yogurt. You could use any thermos though. And the idea for this is it's going to keep the yogurt at just the right temperature for all those cultures to grow. Now, what do I mean by those active cultures growing inside here? Well, to start with, the first time you make yogurt, you do need to save a little bit of yogurt from a biodynamic or an active yogurt, preferably something organic, a good quality. Only a teaspoon of this. We're going to pop that into our warm milk, and those cultures are going to grow, and you never need buy yogurt again because that is going to be kept and used over and over again. Now, the first thing we want to do with our thermos is take some hot water from a kettle. We're just going to pour it in there because I want the thermos to be warm, not hot, but I want it to be warm. I'm going to pop the lid on and just trap the heat in there for a little while. Now, again, we don't need a thermometer. We don't want this milk to go completely cold. I've got a sterilized little whisk here and I've used it just to cool the milk down, but it wants to be warm enough. If you put your finger in there, it should feel about blood temperature. Now, our flask has that hot water in there, so it's sterilized. Just going to undo that now. Pour the hot water away. And then we're just going to take about a teaspoon of this live yogurt, maybe a little bit extra because I've got plenty here. Pop it in with the milk. I'm using a sterilized teaspoon again. I'll give that a little whisk through. And all those active cultures in there are going to grow in this flask. Now, pop that into the flask. And we'll quickly get the lid on there, and that's going to keep this, and we'll seal that up nice and tight. Now, what that's going to do is keep the yogurt or the milk at the right temperature to allow the cultures to grow. Now, some important parts. I tend to wrap this in a towel and leave it somewhere where it's not too cold. Depends on the temperature around the house or where you are at the moment. But if you take a towel and just wrap that up, we'll leave that for about 7 or 8 hours overnight. Or it could take up to 24 hours to completely thicken. Don't agitate it, don't move it around, and let's come back when we've got fresh yogurt. So I've left my yogurt or yogurt overnight. It's been about probably 10 hours. Let's take a look and see what we've got in the flask now. Little twist of the lid here, and unscrew. And take a look. That milk, I don't know if you can see, but that is a little bit of whey in there, but that has set firm. Now I'll take a spoon because you should see a lovely cut. Look how thick and beautiful that yogurt has come out. Now, what does this taste like? Well, here goes. Oh, that is unsweetened, absolutely delicious yogurt, or yogurt, whichever way you tend to say it. This is the basis and foundation that we can make so many fantastic yogurts. Now, over here, I've got a fairly well-known brand of yogurt. This one is mango, and you'll see when I put my spoon into it, it's more like a sort of creamy texture, and I won't take anything away. It's going to taste great. Delicious. It hasn't got the tang. It does taste like melted ice cream, actually. It doesn't have the tanginess of this yogurt. It's full of sugar and preservatives and all sorts of bits and pieces I wouldn't particularly want in my yogurt. We're going to take this wonderful, and you could have it just as it is, a little bit of honey, some muesli on there. We're going to take this wonderful plain yogurt, which you've seen now is so simple to make at home. And one thing, you don't have to re-buy a yogurt. You've got the lovely culture in here now. If you keep a teaspoon of this back, you can repeat this process over and over again, never needing to buy yogurt. So we're going to take this and we're going to make some fantastic different yogurts, including a lovely thick Greek yogurt. So stay tuned for that. Let's get on. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please share the love, give this one a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Take care. So when I started making the yogurt, I wasn't thinking of doing a series, but I think I am going to run a little series of different types of things we can make with this yogurt. So look out for those videos. I'll leave some links to some other ones here. As always, I love to hear your comments. Be good, take care. I'll see you next time.